All right, I apologize for the late start to the meeting. It is 8:10 and we'll call the meeting to order. I think our first order of business to, as a committee, agree that we will never again hold a meeting when Pam is on vacation. Is that all in favor? All right, all right. Roll call. Are there any people that aren't usually on this meeting on the meeting? I don't see any. I've also
No.
counted, I do have a quorum and we'll count those guys up later. Were there any public comments, Joe?
No public comments.
All right. Minutes. Did everyone get a copy of the minutes? Everyone have a chance to take a look?
Yes.
Any comments, corrections?
All good, all
I had a
good.
mistake. I thought Nick is a member of the committee now, and he was not listed. He was listed as something other than committee member, right? Is Nick?
At the last meeting, they were.
He was not officially then, but he is now.
So.
Okay, that's fine.
That's right.
But he
Sorry,
is
Nick, have you been voted in? That was a Tucker thing.
Joanna can, yes, she did.
Perfect. You will be
And-
moved to the correct spot now. Thank you.
It's great to have you on board, Nick. I said that last time, and it's still true.
Thank you, thank you.
Motion to approve, I guess, the minutes? Second, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Updates.
All right, start with Riverside. Sorry, we got the monthly report out late. Probably got it late, last night. I was just to look at it. We'll go through obviously a lot of this stuff today in the meeting. I won't go through, I'll let Scott talk about progress and where we are, but overall, I think we're tracking, where we thought. The start of the steel was a little bit about 3 days later than we originally hoped, but it's tracking pretty quickly, and I think we're going to be in about the same place as far as when we install the planks. So that's all good. The three things that are kind of bumps in the road right now is the Frontier fiber line getting relocated. Is that preventing us from doing some of the underground in the front? Joe and Scott have been working together on that, and we just don't have a date yet for when it's actually going to happen.
So Frontier contacted me this morning and asked for a PO number, so they should be able to schedule it now.
Great. Then the MEP coordination is still ongoing.
Tell your like.
Gosh. MEP coordination is still ongoing. We did have a walk, I think, since our last meeting here with the structural engineer, and he did relax some of the requirements. So we sort of had to take a step back. So it's the electrical is going to go underground, and I think for the most part, plumbing and sprinkler will be able to go between the joists. So that's.
Which floor is this that we're having the issue?
This is lower level.
Right,
Okay.
this is the lower level. I assume there'll be pictures of it that we'll go into in more detail when we get to the pictures. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty micro. It's sort of looking between joists,
Okay.
but, and Larry's still kind of doing it in the three-dimensional to figure out, because the joists don't stack like this, they stack like that. So, you just got to make sure you got.
But there was a fairly large associated with the rework, and
Yeah.
now it looks like with
It
some work and some rolling up the sleeves, it'll be a little less.
It
Is
would
that fair?
seem to be trending down. Nobody sort of put it to price yet until the plan's been
Yeah.
finalized, but I think it's heading in the right direction.
Well,
So what
this-
contractors is that? I mean, is
The
it?
mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
Okay, so if they're the ones putting in the conduit too,
Yeah.
okay.
and Joe, what was our original
95.
95?
Yeah.
Thank you. So likely to be less than 95.
right.
94.
Yeah.
What about the repair of this beam? That main interior? Wasn't that part of the structural engineer's review? Looking at the holes and.
Well, yes, I mean, that's
That's
all,
part of that.
that's part of that. Yeah, he didn't want us peppering it anymore. We will be patching holes that are
In
there.
that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so just on that, so we're reconfiguring where some of the MEP is going. Are we gonna get at the end, as-built
Oh, sure.
that reflect the new ones?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
Even before, they'll have coordination drawings that will show us the exact.
okay.
Through the building.
Yeah.
So that 95 years from now, when they go to
Exactly.
redo this building again, they won't have some
They'll
some
be like,
support
"That
that they,
was a
you know, is 3
great
feet wider
team."
than the
They might have
tar.
the software to open the plans.
And then the last sort of concern is with Eversource, given the elevation of the transformer, current transformer, the new grades are a little higher, so it's not a question of just swapping out the transformer when the time comes and we're ready for permanent power. We're gonna have to turn it off, raise the pad to proper elevation, put the transformer back on, and then when we're ready to energize, do another shutdown. So it's gonna be sort of 2 passes with Eversource. It's not the end of the world. It's just they are hard to schedule. And if we're in hurricane season, it could be a real wild card.
Do you want to go into more detail on that one right now? There's a little bit of a design change a little bit.
It's more just a logistical thing and it's a headache that, we can't control.
Mhm.
Eversource is their own entity.
Why are they, why do you have to raise the level?
Because where it's currently located, it's low, it's on the,
Below grade or what?
it was on the slope going down. We've now infilled the gap on the west side of the building.
I guess.
So the new grade is just, it's a
Where is it
little high.
going on the building?
It's in basically the same location in that northwest corner.
Yeah,
Back
we're
closer to
not,
the
we're not moving it. I mean,
No,
Paul,
we
so
just gotta
Paul's not
raise it.
here, but I'll play the
No.
role of Paul. I'm a little concerned about it right there in the front of the building. Are we gonna be able to cover it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You're gonna look me in the eye and say, no, it's fine. Brian is more importantly, look me in the eye and say, it's fine there. So it's staying there. It's just gonna be regraded a bit. Is that
Right.
fair?
Brian, you want to give us a little more color on that?
Yeah,
Is
the
it-
transformer in the original location, the grade went from the curb line and the grade was pitching toward the building, which was causing water to collect up against the building and then migrate through the wall into the interior boiler room area. So we've changed the grade. We're putting a retaining wall at the end of the building so we can now pitch the grade from the building toward the sidewalk. And we needed to raise the transformer to make that happen and put the pad at grade. So we're shifting it slightly, raising it up, but it's basically in the same location. But that was necessary so we could get it to grade and not have to put it down within a well.
Right. So it will cost us a little more money, but in the end,
No, it's really more of a
Okay.
time.
Okay, time. All
bogey.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that scope was on the drawings. They're just having to coordinate the process of getting it done.
So Brian, just so I understand, so I've seen the waterproofing on that northwest corner, and you said there's gonna be, where's the retaining wall gonna go?
It's gonna
On
be
the
at
north
the end
end.
of the building on the north side, north corner, and we're gonna have one on the south corner of the building. So grade will be able to come up against the building, but you don't have to have the grade turn the corner.
Okay,
Brian, I would just like to ask you to look at that in a little closer detail and make sure we bought it. Ty, you're okay? We did buy that scope because there was talk about some additional costs associated that when I was out there
Okay.
with the guys in the field.
Okay, I wasn't in that conversation, but yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So hopefully we can make it go as you stated with
Yeah.
no cost.
I think the only other thing to talk about in more detail on the monthly report is just for Nick. You'll see the schedule completion, we're now at 46% and the work in place, we're 41.6. So that gap is closed a little bit. Last time we were at 40 and 34. So our work in place has increased more than the percentage wise, more than the schedule.
And just to clarify, right, work in place, you're talking about cost incurred.
Correct.
Okay. So that tells me you had 46% completion on the schedule and you
Yep.
only spent 42% of the amount. So you're under budget.
Well, no, it's not, it's the time of spending. We're now getting more trades involved with the addition. We'll be working both in the renovation phase and the addition. So we'll have more men, we'll be putting more work in place in a given month. So that percentage will, I think, in the next month, probably be almost equal, and then we should be ahead of the schedule with but with the volume.
Okay, what we also need though is, that's good with the schedule. We also need to know how much of the money has been spent as relates to schedule. Right?
Well,
'Cause then-
from
then-
my
then we'll
point-
know, because then we'll know you are 46% schedule. Are you 46% of budget or not, from a cost perspective? If you're 52%, you're over budget. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, although there's some numbers, I'm just looking at the construction side, so I guess if you're gonna look at the budget, you've got to look at the
Yeah,
overall
you get
project.
cost
Yeah.
or project cost?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a whole other.
And then the other variable as we issue change orders, well, I guess, I mean, it depends how, how you evaluate the contingency, whether that's spent money or
Right. Right.
until you overrun the overall project, that'll be static, I guess.
Yeah, and then there's material, the idea that material is bought and stored, it's not necessarily installed.
Yeah.
That throws off those ratios as well.
Okay,
okay,
well,
we can talk about that.
we'll go back and
offline.
look at from an overall project point of view. I don't know that will be quite as meaningful, but
Yeah. Struggle.
we can add another column. All right, well, I'll turn it over to Scott to give you a photographic walkthrough, and then we'll come back and do the numbers and just, there's not a lot of changes. Right.
All right, good morning. Good morning. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So we're just going to do a little bit of tour. We'll walk around the outside the building, then we'll go inside. So right now what you're looking at is, steel's going up. So this is, day 2 of steel. We're looking to try to get the big parts of the steel up by the end of this week. And we'll be driving towards, all the rest of the bolting, connection, plumbing, and tying everything in for another week or so. As you can see, the center wall the big masonry wall right in the middle there was our big part of getting that going. So the planks, so we can get ready for the planks. So while that wall's curing, we're continuing with the steel work around the outside of the building there. Scrolling around to the front of the building, you can see now we've got the dentals are going in. All the dental trim is going in. All the fascia trim, the soffits are all getting buttoned up. A little bit of tightening up, a little bit more work we got to do there. So as we continue across there, we'll finish that up in the next week or so. We're out now caulking the windows. All the windows are getting caulked around the perimeters. That'll allow us to lock those frames in and prepare for the sash swap out when those sashes come in a couple months. Also, Larry, if you go back, Larry, just one picture, you'll see the one from the down below. You can see better. We're demoing the base of the cupola. So we're taking the siding off the cupola now and preparing for the next round of work that's going to happen on the base of the cupola while the cupola itself is out being constructed. So that's another task that we're tackling. We'll probably be demoed by the end of this week. And then mid next week, we'll be receiving the material to start building that cupola base back again. So that's pretty much the perimeter.
Scott, one
yeah.
sec. One little sort of hiccup. We discovered that some of the cupola siding was in fact transite, which is an asbestos product. Not a big deal. It's not a huge money thing. I think at the point in time, that was a more resilient product to use in that application. So it makes kind of sense. It just wasn't identified before.
Right. So we're collecting them. It's like Ty said, it's not a big number. So we're just going to collect it. We'll put it in the bags. Joe and I went through it yesterday, and so we don't delay. We're going to keep moving on there. Scrolling around.
Our consultant has been involved too for the asbestos, the hygienist.
Correct. All right. Scrolling around to the next photo. Again, just some snapshots. It's a little difficult. As we start closing the building in, it gets difficult to get some broad shots. So really, this is just kind of a sample of, we've got the bathrooms are tiled, ceiling is up in the bathroom, and then we're getting ready to begin the fixture install. So the next round is going to be fixtures and finishes. This is in the detective's office area on their way to the forensics. These are the lockers. that are starting to get set in there. So again, we're transitioning between the rough carpentry on the upper level and rolling into some more finished trades, as the mill worker again is also starting today. So going down to the lower level, just again to show some progress and kind of the state of where we are. You'll see this is the IT closet. So we've got the wall mounted units are up, and we're starting to get some finishes in there. The ceiling is up, so we can start installing the cable tray and start dressing out the cable tray in preparation for the IT racks that are going to be coming in. So we're kind of following suit downstairs on the main level. This is the bathroom. This is the men's bathroom downstairs on the main level. Again, tiles going in, and we're starting the process down there of trying to become more finished down in the main area. Scrolling down into the lower level, this is the basement boiler room. As you can see, some of the main distribution panels are going in. We got some conduits are up that feed outside to the transformers, transformer to the generators, to a lot of the outside site lighting, the controls for the gates, etc. You can see the water main on the right there. Water main is in, ground wires ready to get in. We've got the slab is poured and ready to start really building down in there now. So that's kind of setting the tone from the mechanical side. The big hit is getting these electrical panels in with the next round of deliveries coming mid to late July, and getting ready, shipping mid to late July, early August to delivery, getting those things up and running so we can get some power to the building as we coincide with that earlier conversation about the transformer. This is the locker room. So what you're looking at here is the men's locker room. These are the lockers on the right-hand side. This is the locker area. And then on the back side, again, hard to see, those are the showers. As we're starting to frame out the showers, start getting ready to frame those up. Again, the big catch was, Ty had alluded to earlier, was that back wood in the back cornered area. It's a little challenging to see, but that's where the fiber comes in for the frontier that we need to get out of there. Both for inside so we can start closing some walls up, and for the outside so we can do the storm drainage. But again, just giving a flavor, ductwork is up in the showers, framing is up in the showers, and now we're starting to do the in-wall rough and plumbing in that area. So that's a quick broad look of the status of where we are. We've got some good momentum. Schedule's moving nicely, and within the next month or so, we're going to start down here. We'll be working on tile and closing these walls up as well. Any questions about the status, project progress?
What are your biggest worries, Scott?
I'm sorry?
What are your biggest worries?
My biggest worry, my biggest worry right now is keeping the weather away and allowing our steel and plank to get to continue uninterrupted. The momentum with the crane on site and keeping that steel and getting that building built. So my biggest worry right now is completion of the steel and plank install to a watertight building in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, because that's on the critical path, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I say it just to set the tone and direction of how we handle the job every day. Our critical path is the outside, but I don't want to ignore the inside. So we focus heavy on the outside conversations initial, and then once we get that under control and balanced, we then fall back inside as the trades are kind of just maintaining pace inside.
Okay.
Speaking of watertight, do you do both roofs at the same time? The new building and the is that done at the same time?
No, our objective is to get the new building built, get our temporary roof up, and then start to work on the upper roof. Because by the time that happens, we'll be buttoned up with some of the craziness we have going on in the front, and we'll be a little bit more controlled in the back with equipment and material. So that'll allow the work to continue inside the new addition while we work on the roof on the outside. So we're almost there. It's probably about another month and a half before we get to watertight, and at that point, then we start to tackle in the roof. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. If you have any questions, again, we're here. We walk every Wednesday, and if anybody has any questions, certainly we are here to answer them.
Okay, if you want to go to the numbers, again, we're going to focus on the yellow numbers and
Can I interrupt for one
Sure.
second?
Yep.
So if we can, we're going through the log, all the logs, there's some items that are in the back that Turner asked me for sign off because that's the way the contract works. Everything's been going to the committee and we've signed off on all the contingency item. There's some Turner contingency items that are high enough that we haven't voted on them yet. And it may or may not be appropriate to vote for them here, or you just want me to give me authorization to negotiate them. So if we can either go through the meeting today in more detail, if anyone has any issues with any of the change orders or the allowances or anything like that, let me know. And if they're over.
If you want us to vote on them or look at them, can you just?
Yeah, we'll go through them. I just want to,
They're all-
know that
they're all yellow.
I'll ask that at the end that we have a vote on it, which I haven't asked in the past.
Okay, is this on just the ones in yellow or all? of them?
just the ones in contingency, I think, right?
They're just the ones in the contingency report. The last page. Is that almost kind of, that's Turner's contingency, so we don't necessarily, we didn't set it up that we had a vote on it, but I think it's appropriate because there are some that are over 20,000, so. But anyway, we can go
Okay.
through that in detail when we get to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one's an easy one, number 30, line 31 in the PCO log. And that was just going from pending to approved, with some changes, work in the boiler room. The next one, 33, was removing the lower level ceiling. That was really just refining the number down from the 5,000 to the 2,264. I imagine by the next meeting, that'll move over to the right. 34 was some work that was funded out of our holds budget. So you don't see a number there. It was probably in around the $4,000 range. And that was some requests for conduits in between the IT closet and the conference room and things of that nature. Coming down to line 41. Again, this is just moving it from the pending to approved. For that was the site electrical box in the entryway, the curb cut into the property. That was moving that box. Down at the bottom, additional floor drain we had talked about, I think previously, in the water room, which is where the sprinkler, all of the sprinkler work is. There wasn't a floor drain in there, so we recommended adding one, and so it's not a big cost. It's estimated about $3,000. That's the water room in the basement. It's where the sprinkler main comes in, and then you have so those things spit out water periodically when there's a pressure change. So it's a good place for that water to have a place to go. Insulation board. This is one of the contingency items that Joe was referring to earlier. We had missed buying that from a particular trade, but it was on the documents. So that's the kind of thing that gets funded out of our contingency. It's not a big number. We'll see it in the back. I think it was about $3,000. And then we had some hold money that we used for some additional demo of some components. I think it had to do with some of the masonry work that was going on. Next page, 68. So I think we had mentioned previously that we discovered that there was a gap between, on the lower level, between the brick on the outside and some of the masonry. And when we backfilled against that, we were concerned that it might put too much pressure and stress the brick course there. Well, we did a little more investigation, and that's not universal across the whole face. Seems to occur maybe more where the window infills were done. So there will be some of that work that will be done, but it's not as extensive as we originally thought. So there's about $6,000 that we've assigned to that. Wood trim, this was some additional trim in the vestibule coming into the building that Brian added on the shop drawings to sort of keep it, I think, more consistent with the character of the actual lobby itself. ASI 27 was just a little bit more refinement from some information provided by Brian on location of a camera, which we just had some additional cabling to do to service that camera. And then the last one is we've got more information now that on the training room, the fitness room, for additional power, data, and mirrors, whiteboards, things like that. So that's our estimate for that, and we'll be getting the pricing from the subs and refining that as time goes on. So that's sort of the overall PCO log. Now we just sort of drill into the specific reports.
So can I just interrupt for 1 second? So if anything there's detailed on there is optional work, or like, oh, it'd be nice to have this additional trim, I'd like to go through it in a little more detail with the committee to make sure that they understand what it is and actually want to do it.
Okay, we'll have to defer.
Well, so, I mean, and not for this time, but
Yeah, okay.
before we approve the change, if Brian, you'd probably be the best person to go through those little nits and gnats that typically happen in a project. But if it's an optional spend, I think the committee should see it in at least enough detail so they can make an educated choice.
The trim is cosmetic. I think so we probably need a little more, clarification on what that is, why it looks that much better, that, we should spend, public money on stuff like that. The gym has more to do with the fact that we left it pretty much as a blank box, and now those pieces are being established a little bit so we can actually put a pencil to the work that has to be done, and that's going to cost money. Is that all fair?
Yep. So just going down the holds, there's a little bit of premium time that we put against our one of the holds for some Grasso work. The sort of tied to the reshoring of the building or the underpinning. One of the existing footings was a little higher than the final slab elevation, so we just had to chop that down. That's the third yellow item coming down. Patch and infill, CMU. So again, there was just during the course of the work, there's some gaps in the masonry that we're just filling in. We're funding that out of our holds. Next sheet. Additional conduits. This is what we talked about before. This is the $3,400, just some additional conduits to and from the IT room and the emergency operations center, and then the additional Cat 6 cable to the camera. So those are being funded out of that hold. Then we go to the allowances.
And just so you know, there is some money on the soft cost side for some of that technology stuff. So eventually it doesn't really hit, or the project cost is budgeted on the other side of the equation. So I'll do a transfer once it all kind of, lands and we know the dollars.
So this is the chopping down of the footing to meet the slab. So that's an approximate cost of $5,000 that I talked about previously. Again, it doesn't show up on the PCO log. The number doesn't, because it's within the GMP. So you'll see it in the more detailed report under holds, allowances, and contingency. Then here's the contingency items. So the first one is is way back. This has been on the table and discussed for a while, but Larry just finally submitted it to Joe. This was in the very beginning when we were concerned about where the old oil tank was and testing the soil. There was, Langen had not done any testing there, so we hired Pannoni to do the testing so that we could feel a little more confident that we were, what kind of soil we were dealing with. It did come back with low VOCs, and so we put that aside, and it's going to be removed from the site along with some of the boiler room material. The next one is just the SASH cost moved from pending to approved. Unfortunately, this report, every other report goes left to right, and for some reason, this one goes from right to left. So that's the system, the way it works. Go figure. The last three provide the.
On the stash,
Yep,
you're talking about 114,000.
correct.
So what's oh, that's just the different quality, 4 cents.
Right, that's the glass type, yeah. Yep, so once those arrive, we'll just swap out the sashes in a couple of days, and
That's the cost that we bought, what we intended to buy all along, that's
correct.
the upcharge we would have had.
Right, and it's being funded out of our contingency versus a change to the project. Yeah.
It is costing our supplier money as well. So
Oh, yeah.
they're eating that portion, yeah.
But we're getting what
We're getting exactly
basically what we
would've paid for.
expect at a price that they give it to us, probably would have paid originally.
The insulation board, again, not a big number, but 3346. That was the miss between the waterproofing guy and the site guy on our part. Install lintels at existing CMU. We had a hold for some additional lintel work. We've overrun that. They're more than, I guess, we assumed. So it's a slight hit to the contingency of 2169. And then install miscellaneous lintels throughout the MEP for MEP at existing walls. This has more to do with the work down in the basement, I assume. Larry, is that true?
No, this is more of an upper level and lower level. I'm sorry, upper level and main level. All those we haven't go through the a lower level yet. So
Okay.
that cost hasn't been. That cost is that in the front sheets in the 95,000. I think that I have the 95 in the front.
But just looking at the number, this is a sub number, not an estimate on your part, even though it's an approximate.
Yep, this is sub number. I'm processing right now. So yes, this is sub number for all the stuff they did for us on the upper level as well as the main level.
Okay. So those are, that's what's hit since the last time we met. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, so the 114 was already approved by the committee, so I don't know if you want to give me the Department of Public Works authorization to finalize the pending change orders and the approximate change orders and move that value. Does that sound? The one that kind of stuck out that they said over to sign was 26,000. I'm like, I don't know if I'm authorized to sign 26,000. That was for the forensic.
Yeah, I agree. Safe, safe to sorry. Absolutely. Might as well vote
So
it.
if you need any more detail on it, we can go into it now or at the next meeting.
Well,
Or we can have a vote.
if you want us to vote on it now, this meeting, then I'd like more detail.
Yep.
Okay. Which item in the pending change order column
So,
or the
okay,
approximate
so
change order would you like?
we're
us to
talking
details?
about we went into detail of the 12,500, and then we have the 5, the 26, and the 3.
Mhm.
Okay, so why don't you just a little bit on each as to what it is, because if it was described before, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering.
Yeah, I mean, can we go through, Well, the forensic lab equipment was the $26,000. That was an item that wasn't bought as part of the equipment
Right,
package.
right.
So we needed to add that. That was
Right, and that-
100%.
That was,
Add.
that was just, it's not a new request. It was just requested and not purchased yet. Is that fair?
We missed, I don't know, specifically, it was on the documents. We thought maybe it was an owner furnished thing or something like
Yeah.
that. But anyway.
Yeah.
It was scoped out.
But
It
it wasn't bid out.
wasn't bought, yeah.
And how much of the equipment for the, call it the specialized police work equipment? How much was or is going to be repurposed versus purchased new? And I mean, I don't know where you would draw the line of specialized police equipment, but just to give a sense of it.
What equipment?
I don't know, let's talk forensic lab. Let's start there.
Yeah.
And then there's specialized equipment in dealing with, other evidence and things like that. I'm assuming most of the
Well-
stuff is being bought new, but I assume some of it was also repurposed.
Evidence lockers are currently in use at 39 Locust. Those are going to be reinstalled over at 174.
Yep.
Some of the forensic examining equipment, a lot of that's already existing, so it's just a matter of having a place to move it to when we get back there. So there won't be a lot of purchase for new equipment.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe there's a matrix in the drawings that shows. who
So it
provides
goes
it,
through.
who
I mean, I
exists.
don't know how quickly technology changes in these kinds of things. I'm assuming a lot of our equipment is, decades old, and I don't know if there's a,
We want to build it so we can put equipment in there and we have an idea of what the appropriate equipment is. We have it currently, but we want to future-proof it as well and have
Right.
outlets in the right place, ventilation vents in the right place, that sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, but we can look the people of New Canaan in the eye and say, yeah, it's not as though we took this as an opportunity to throw out stuff that was working fine and replace it with new shiny stuff. No, we actually are repurposing a lot of this stuff.
The canopy hood is that, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't looked at this in a while. That's the one that just changed the design of the canopy hood, so it was a recirculating one.
Yeah, as I recall, yeah. Larry,
What's
is
the
it
canopy hood used for?
It's a ventilation.
Gun cleaning,
Gun cleaning, okay.
correct, Larry?
Correct.
Yes, well, the canopy hood is the gun cleaning. So that's and then the forensic lab is that's for equipment. There's I don't know expect specifically what's for in my head. I think there was there's another hood up in the part of the forensic lab, and then there's a microscope or something like that.
Within the
multiple-
forensics lab, we've specified 4 items of equipment to go into the forensics lab. Those were on the drawings, in the specifications. This is just now Turner going out and purchasing them for installation.
We're buying it all through.
And
So
they
just
are.
on that then, did we go through the appropriate bidding process on it? Or is that one where you have to go to a specialty place just to get it? Or how do we get the pricing
we
on that?
went to, I believe, is this coming from the detention guy, Larry?
We bought it from the mechanical guy because there's a lot of them that ties with mechanical ductwork and stuff like that. But the equipment itself is specified per spec and it's the specific product. It's the one vendor for those specific equipments.
Right, it was specified as a specific product from a specific vendor,
Right.
and that's what's being purchased.
Right.
So the price is basically, everybody feels comfortable, the price is appropriate for those items.
Right.
Okay.
And then the last one is just the last 3 are the ones that we talked about earlier, the mist insulation board, the additional lintels and
Well, both are additional lintels. One for the windows, one is for MEP. Then we have $8,000 hold in our GMP, but it's over the amount that we have to cut through for the existing wall.
Any other questions on this before we
I just think, I guess some of these are not to exceed numbers because they're approximate change
Yeah, the
orders and some of
approximate, yeah.
them are, maybe we just might get a.
So it's
vote
really,
not to exceed.
the pending ones are the only ones I think that you would be considering right now. So until the approximates get, firmed up, I don't think we'd look for your approval until it gets to the pending.
Okay,
Or if you wanted to say that the Department of Public Works has the authorization to finalize that, we can. They're all smaller dollar amounts. So the process is, they'll finalize, Turner will finalize the quotes from everyone, gather them together. They'll send it to Slam. Slam will kick the tires on it, make sure everything is, we're getting what we should get for the right cost. And then they come from the Department of Public Works, and then I give them one last look over.
As a building city, we just don't want to hold the works up here, if you will, for the next meeting. So we want to authorize the Public Works Department to proceed with, on Slam's, recommendation as well to allow Turner to purchase these products.
It's your choice. Either way, whether we move this, the pending change orders or the approximate change orders is up to you. I don't mind bringing them back. I don't think there's anything that's super
Well,
time
what's
sensitive.
that, so we're gonna vote on the pending change orders, those three today.
You're gonna move
right?
those,
Or
the
four.
$48,294.
Right, and then what do you want us to do on the 38,000?
It's up to you. You can wait to see it. You can wait to see it.
Finalize, we don't want to
Yeah.
slow you down.
Or you can give me authorization to finalize it.
And then if you finalize it, are we gonna vote on it again? When it
You don't think
changes
you
to-
need to.
I think my 2 cents
We
on
should
the
probably vote on
lentils
it
is,
again.
is
Okay.
we really ought to
Approve it.
move that along because that's happening.
Which one? I'm sorry?
The lentil one is really something that's time sensitive.
Okay,
All right, so that's it. And, okay, so you would definitely get that going. Okay.
so
So,
why don't we do it in two stages? So I'd make a motion to approve the $48,294 in pending change order.
Second.
All in favor?
okay, everyone out there okay?
Right.
Nick?
Yep.
All right, so that
I would
passes.
just clarify if you could, it's really contingency drawdown. It's not a change order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the sense of adding additional costs to the project.
Right, this is,
It's Turner's contingency.
Turner's
I'll note it as Turner's contingency.
yeah, so.
And then,
This is an extra money coming out of, the people of New Canaan, but we want to make sure because of the tickets are enough that the people are aware that these changes are happening to the overall project. That's all. We're basically saying, yes, we're very aware. We know what Turner's doing. We know what our construction team is doing, and we approve of it.
okay. So then the second motion would be a motion to approve the $38,577, not to exceed the $38,577 in the approximate change order column with Joe and his staff and Jean to finalize the numbers before Turner goes forward.
Right, giving the department, we
Sound good?
authorize Department of Public Works to
Negotiators.
negotiate, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, to negotiate and to allow
Execute.
and execute.
Right?
Does not to exceed mean that, what happens if you subsequently find you need to exceed?
He has to
So
come
the way
back to
that,
us.
the way
Come
the
back and ask
contract,
for more?
the way the contract reads, if we're going to exceed the value, Turner has to stop at that value and say, we need
Come back
additional
for more.
authorization.
Is there any reason to discuss having a higher ceiling than the exact numbers on here, like a 40,000 instead of 38, so that you don't have to come back and take extra steps, or is that? not
So
necessary?
if it's under, if the work is under 25,000, I believe I can authorize it anyway. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of trying to
Yeah.
keep it as
Yeah.
clean as possible.
Right.
So if it was holding up work, I would authorize additional funds and
Then
come
come back and
back
get
and
our
say,
approval.
yeah,
and
we
the-
did, yeah.
Right, okay.
I think the good news is just looking at the burn rate. So we're 29% spent in our contingency and we're 46% through the project. So the good.
My thoughts exactly.
So we should take that vote then. You got the motion, right? We sort of edited the motion. You'll make us sound smart when you write it up. Thank you. We appreciate that. Oh, always be nice to the person
Motion-
taking the
motion to
minutes.
approve.
man. It's,
Good, excellent, we appreciate it.
Also journalists are gonna quote you, right? Just put it in English
We
for me.
want it to
Thank you.
be a not to exceed 40,000 or not to exceed 38,577.
Just keep it 38,577, so it all
Okay.
ties to the documents and the
Okay.
minutes in the future.
Motion, Tom?
I'll move.
All right. Oh, Penn moved it. Sorry. You second.
I'll move it again.
Okay. So that's the kind of committee we are, always moving that ball
That's good. We're
forward.
moving it forward.
All right. All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for Turner. Over to Slam. Thank you, Gene.
Okay, so,
Oh, well, that's one last question for Turner. I'm sorry. Scott, any neighbor issues that have come up since the last meeting at all?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Any neighbor interaction or neighbor issues that have come up since the last meeting?
No, the neighbor just approached me. We had done the curb cut out at the street. And there was some, one of our barricades there was obstructing their view as they tried to drive out. So we acknowledged that, and then we made the correction so as to maintain a safe pathway while also allowing traffic to be able to look south down South Avenue. So that was the only interaction. Everything else has been good, and we've been quiet.
Thank you, sir. Sorry
Thank
for
you.
the interrupt.
okay, so just on the high level, if you look at the far right two columns, total contingency is about $1.5 million. 500 of it being from Turner's control, and about 1 million of that under New Canaan's control. So the total budget is still with those contingencies at $29 million. So we're maintaining that with that $1.5 million buffer, if you want to call it. As far as the schedule, the big milestone, as Ty had mentioned, is really the steel erection and precast plank. So the targeted update schedule is just a few days off, but the actual startup being around 7/8, with the plank following shortly behind in about a week or so. Again, those are on the critical path. They are really the as I want to roll up. Both of those are on, as Ty had mentioned, and so does Scott, they are critical path items. They are really the biggest concern. Anything that really affects really closing up the envelope potentially could have an impact on the schedule. So far, so good, as Ty mentioned, and as the schedule reflects. And then just the potential changes and delays that, again, just been discussed, but really that interior load-bearing wall, not low-bearing wall, but load-bearing wall, potentially has a little bit of delay, but the $95,000 as we talked about, we're getting good data back. Work is starting to progress along that lines, and it looks like we shouldn't be exceeding that amount. So I'm happy with that. It could have been a lot more complicated. It was very complicated, actually, but just on the executive side, a little bit more detail on the cost of the work. We're tracking the current update on 7-Eleven. We're tracking all the soft costs and tracking the expenditures of the contingency in this line item here that really mimic and follow the log that Turner just reviewed. And that's how we get to the $1.5 million remaining contingency, total soft cost of about $7.9 million. And between the
GMP cost, and the soft costs were still hovering at $29 million. And then last, it's just the, so total completed and stored to date is about 8.6 million, of Turner's 21 million roughly. We're at about 41% complete with about 1.6 spent. And again, hats off to Turner with their projections. That's pretty accurate. I haven't seen something this accurate in a long time. Maybe we want to hire him for their BR actuarials or something. That's it for me. Any questions?
No, I know we had a question. Didn't we have a question about the paint color?
That's not my.
That's not your area, but I
We
just
were all
wanted
waiting for you to weigh in on that.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to know where we were on that because it sounds like things are progressing and we might have to actually buy the paint at some point.
What do you got for us, Brian?
Well, we have bought the paint and the paint is being installed and I have offered to go down and show how all the other finishes coordinate with the paint colors. You're seeing just one color and there was just, I think, one reaction. I think when you look at all of the other finishes that complement the paint color, I'm still confident that the committee is going to get the coordinated effort that they saw earlier. So we have not made any attempts to change or vary the finishes. And if anybody wants to spend some time with what the final finishes will be like, I can do that.
I would like at just at a minimum, just to go through the brown that's up over in the chief's office and the color palette there. Just maybe the next time you're at site or at one of these meetings. We're not going to final coat for months anyway. Do it if we could just kind of bring that color, those color selections together. Because I think there was questionable whether, everything tied together. And then there's also a little more colors being selected because we're picking out the furniture colors to go out to bid. So
Right.
it would be good.
Right, so
It would be good.
yeah,
to
should we schedule a
look at
meeting then? So if we're gonna do that, I'm just gonna be, I don't have an eye, but I always like to look. So can we schedule that meeting before the 26th of July, the 25th of July?
Brian, what do you got?
Do you want to do it on the 25th of July? I mean, if you want to do it after your next meeting, we could go from.
Yeah, we could do that. That'd be great.
That'd be great.
I'm available on the 25th of July and I can bring down all of the associated materials.
Thank you for setting that up. Appreciate it.
Thank
By the
you.
way,
That'd be
when you showed the
terrific.
picture of the bathroom, the first floor bathroom,
That
I
looks
thought
good.
to myself, man, that looks pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And while we got you here, Brian, the incremental trim that we talked about earlier, that is what, can you just put a little more color on that?
Yes, the two end walls, we had originally in the project aluminum half-round windows on the north and south end elevation. We changed those to the Marvin product. And there was a change order to change those windows from aluminum to a wood interior Marvin window. The trim that I added was now wood trim to trim out the wood windows. There was no trim on those windows on the original drawings because they were aluminum windows.
Right.
So yes, I added trim because the windows went to wood and we're trimming them out to match the other wood windows. I think that
Thank
Ty said vestibule, but the only trim that I added, and there is additional costs, are for the half-round windows on the north and south end wall.
Oh, so maybe you want to change the description of that and the change order and in your report, since it's not, you said it's not the vestibule then.
Right.
let me wanted to say one thing. That change order was on one of the submittal asked for the vestibule, the entrance vestibule. Maybe Brian, you and I can talk about that one. The window one is, I think, is part of the ASI ASI 22. So yeah, Brian, why don't you and I talk about that vestibule thing? That there may be a
So there was trim at the vestibule that we brought the wainscot trim that was in the lobby out into the vestibule also. So we kept the vestibule more coordinated with the lobby. So there was trim there and there was trim at the windows. So there's a couple areas that, yes, I added trim.
Yep, gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, I think that's what we want. We want to have that look, and
Yeah,
if
the
we're
first, that's the
finalizing it.
first look.
That's the
Exactly.
first
I'll
look
tell you, I'm
that
already getting
everybody-
comments about how much better the building looks, just in replacing the windows. And it's really, it's good.
Okay.
And by
thank
the
you.
way, I think we all agree that our project is kicking St. A's butt. Right now, when I look, I mean, they've had those beams up, but they haven't done much else. I mean, not, we're rooting for them too, but,
We're gonna pick a fight with the Catholic Church.
no, that's why I'm being positive for them. I'm just, we're rooting for them. We're just doing a little better. That's all I'm saying.
It's easy to root for them when you're ahead.
Yeah. Anything else we're gonna go through? Any other questions for Brian G? Before we, our next meeting is scheduled for the 25th. Obviously, we're gonna have it.
The topping off ceremony, we should just talk about that. There is a beam on site for everyone to sign, the white beam. That's in front of the trailer. And it would be nice if everyone would go there and sign it, and then it's a photo op or a full on, whatever it might be, we'll schedule it for after one of these meetings.
Do you want to do it the same one next meeting when we're going over there to look at the colors?
We won't be ready for it at that particular
Okay.
moment. So we kind of have to, we're hoping it'll align with the meeting, but we also don't want to hold off topping off the building for 2 weeks if it doesn't align.
Exactly.
Right.
It's-
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's people
okay.
besides us, right? There's
So, I
elected
mean, we could do
officials
it
and
with
things
a-
like
we could do
that
it
too,
with a-
right?
We could do it in a couple weeks. You could just do it in front of the beam and then have a separate, just when they actually lift the beam, you could be there. We can get into more details when we actually know the date it's gonna land on. But it would be, anyone could go sign it. Larry, do you have like pens and stuff like that, or like, what? You have Sharpies?
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll get a couple Sharpies out here, some nice big ones, different colors out here for everybody to sign. So we'll get those out here this week.
Okay, so like anytime after next week, just because people might be going on holiday.
Right.
Or whatever. you
Yeah,
can
I'd
go.
say listen, it takes a couple days to get something here, so next couple days we should be ready to have.
But next
people
week
sign.
we.
Yeah, by next week.
Just let us know when,
Yeah.
if it's close to a meeting, you'll do it after a meeting. If it's not close to a
Exactly.
meeting, you'll send out a separate thing. But
Yeah, and then if anyone, we're still walking every Wednesday morning, so if anyone wants to come by Wednesday morning, walk the site, sign when we're there. it's also-
Wednesday mornings don't really work for me, so
Okay.
maybe if we could,
Whatever,
Can we do another-
whatever works for you.
Okay, we'll
I can
figure out
schedule
what,
that one for
okay.
you.
If we're likely gonna have the sirens on the fence, so.
Well, we need to just make sure that we don't have enough safety equipment for all of them, so.
Trying to get it.
Okey dokey.
Oh, so you're taking the town council?
Yeah, the town council asked to take a walkthrough, so I said Joe and I walk every Wednesday morning with Scott at 8 o'clock, so it's an open standing invitation. They're likely that, so an invitation went out to the council for next Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, so I'm just trying to get a head count so we can know exactly how many people and how many hard hats and stuff.
So do they have to notice that as a meeting?
They're gonna take care of that.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. You don't have anything else? All right. Motion to adjourn?
oh, actually, do we have any,
Sorry.
is there any update that anybody knows about the training center? Or anything from Wilton? Nothing happening?
you
Guys, haven't
Rain.
heard anything, right?
No, nothing on
No,
rate.
the only thing that's pending is a regional range in Newtown, and that's being pushed along to there, but I think the Wilton possibility is off the table.
Okay, thanks.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, people.